Hello everybody, this is Xter99. Today we got a old video that I'm looking at of mine on how to use a DataVac by Metro on how to clean out one of your PCs, especially the older PCs after they've accumulated a lot of dust, and I demonstrated that in this video. Here I have one of my commenters here named Ruby Rose is basically saying that her computer started to make a beep sound when she turns it on, and then it dies, and she needs to clean it out. She has important documents on her old tower that she needs to recover, but the computer's not starting up. It's about 10 years old. She's begging for my help. I do tell her it could mean a lot of different things. It could mean that, that's a warning, the beep's a warning from the motherboard saying something's wrong, and that the funny sound she's hearing could be a worn out fan, or that it could be her hard drive filling out. I tell her basically to blow it out like I demonstrated in the video and see if she can boot it up. If she can, I'm telling her to back up all of her important files on a flash drive. She says thanks, I'll get back to it and let me know what happens here. And I tell her, if it dies out again, let me know, and I'll try to help her out. And she comes back just this morning and says that at this point, that she tried to do it again, and after blowing it out, it still dies again, and she can't get past the welcome page. So I told her I'd make her a video here on how to recover the data from her old hard drive, because at this point, her computer is probably not worth fixing. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do here. Is we're going to show you how to take the hard drive out of an old PC. If you have pictures or files that you want to recover for it, you can do that pretty easily, and the cost is less than 20 bucks to buy what you need if you don't have it on Amazon.com. I'll provide a link below on how to get that device. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that now. Okay, so what we have here is we have one of these old computers that's really so old that it's not worth fixing anymore. Typically has Windows XP on it. You'll find usually that sticker somewhere else, and even though this is a big name brand, I'm sure this computer probably cost, $500-600 or whatever. It's just so old now that it's not worth fixing if it's not booting up. So what we're going to do is we have files on here on the hard drive. We're going to assume we have files on this hard drive that we want to recover. So what we're going to do is we're going to use we're going to take out the hard drive here first. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then at that point, we're going to go ahead and use a USB adapter that you plug in to power up that hard drive and boot that hard drive up to an existing computer that's working, a newer computer hopefully, and be able to recover any files on that hard drive. I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and get this computer and get it over where we can take the side panel off and get to the hard drive and remove this hard drive. Alright, now we've got our computer placed on a desk where we can actually access it. Don't have a lot of room here. I do work on computers. It's pretty messy up here. But the only tools you're going to need, the only tools you should need, if you need any at all, you more than likely need this, especially on these older computers, is just a Phillips screwdriver. So here we have that. And you need the computer that you're trying to remove the hard drive from, the old computer that's no longer worth fixing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and assume this is that computer. 90% of these computers are the same thing. So you want to have access to the left side. If you're looking at the computer from the front, you want to have access to the left side of the computer. As you can see, I got this turned around wrong. So we're going to go ahead and turn this computer around here. Now, as you see, I have access to the left side of the computer. Okay? Back on the backhand side, I see you should have two screws. It looks like I've already removed the screws on this, but you're going to have two screws that are going to be removed with a Phillips screwdriver, and one at the top, one at the bottom. Looks like these, hopefully the hard drive is still in this computer. It's not all. And once you remove the two screws, 90% of these cases are simply you're just going to have to reach in on this flap and then pull it back, and you're looking to pull this whole piece backwards. Now this one's just being a little bit stubborn, but even though you may see screws right here, those screws are simply holding in this fan here. There's probably a fan right on the inside of that. That's nothing holding the panel in. The whole panel is held in by these two screws right there. If you can't get it, if it's stuck like mine is, then you might look for the assistance of a flat tip screwdriver. Now I have a flat tip screwdriver right here. It's not a real big one, but it might be enough to go ahead and reach in and wiggle this thing loose. Probably not going to have this big of a problem with most computers. Alright, fell off there. Alright, so it was ready just to come pummeling off as soon as I pried it backwards just a little bit. But that's what you're going to do with these side panels. 95% of them have a panel like this, and you're just going to slide it backwards, not even a ½ inch, and as soon as you slide it backwards, it's basically going to come off. It's going to pull off very easy. That one just fell off completely. So once you get this computer open, okay, you're not going to need to worry about, this is your CPU fan, for example. This here is your power supply, just so you know. This is usually a sound card or a video card, if you see this. Your memory, which isn't your hard drive, but memory that the computer uses while you're working, is usually right here by your CPU fan. And you can see the memory. I have two memory sticks in this computer in these two slots. If you wanted to remove or replace your memory, you simply pull these little tabs back on each side, and then it comes straight out. And then you want to make sure you replace the same kind of memory by, you know, making sure you're buying the same kind, the same amount of pins, and you align it correctly. There's usually a bigger side and a smaller side. Make sure you align it properly, you put it in straight, and as soon as you push it in, these two flaps will automatically push in over the top of the memory once it snaps into place. But we're not worried about any of that. What we're looking at is this old hard drive right here, and that's what we want to recover the files off of. If you have any files or any old pictures or any tax documents or anything that you need to recover from an old computer like this, this is what you're looking for. It's always going to be pretty much in the same spot. It's going to be towards the front of the computer, and it's usually going to be in a slot like this. And it's going to look, you see here, it's going to look just like this. This is an old hard drive from another computer, okay? And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and remove these two. You're going to have two cords going to it, and you're going to go ahead and pull both of these cords off. Now this one here looks like a newer hard drive that's got the SATA connections, SATA, okay? So your two cords here, the smaller one is not your power. The smaller one is actually going to go to your motherboard for a connection. Then your bigger cord is going to be for your power, okay? And if you look here, you'll see that the bigger connection there, it's kind of got an L shape on it. That is coming up here from my power supply. Okay, so the bigger connection here on the SATA is your power. The smaller one is your connection to give you, you know, to give information to and from your motherboard. Okay, so you're either going to have a newer hard drive with these SATA connections, okay, or you're going to have an older hard drive, and you're still going to have cords that you're going to pull off of it. Okay, so you're going to have connections here like this sort of, and you're just going to pull those out. Okay, and this is, if you have a really old computer, like the person in my video that I'm making this for probably has an older hard drive, and with that, this is the IDE pins, and this is going to be what they look like, rather than having there's going to be the power connection, and that's going to be right here on these 4 pins, and you're going to have that connection right here, okay, and you're going to have that in there. You're just going to pull that out, and then you're also going to have a wide connection covering all these pins here, and that's going to be up in here, and you're going to simply pull those 2 cords off of there, okay, and then so you're going to have this hard drive sitting in the same kind of spot. Okay, so at that point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead and unscrew the 2 screws on here on this side so that this side is loose, And on the back side there, you're going to have to get to those 2 screws as well, more than likely, unless they've already been removed and nobody replaced the screws. You may be able to loosen the hard drive completely just by loosening these 2 screws. If you don't, then you're simply going to need to go around to the other side of the computer, okay? And to do that, you're again going to remove the 2 screws here, which have already been removed on this panel. Same kind of thing, you're going to pull back. And as you see, right when I pried it backwards, it fell off. So usually they're not quite this difficult. Usually they slide backwards and then allow you to actually lower them gently. But here on this side of the hard drive, which you can see right there, okay, sometimes you'll have screws still in the hard drive mounted. This one, somebody's already removed this hard drive and removed those screws. So those would, you may have to have 2 screws over here as well that you have to loosen up, okay? Now, some computers may not have screws. They may simply have quick latches, which are even easier than screws, and you simply release those by pulling those typically. But most of the computers you find, you're probably going to find screws everywhere. Some computers back here do have a quick latch system instead of screws. They have just quick latches that latch, and the thing will, the panels will pull up like this, and they might have a hinge back over here. But still, you're still going to be able to open the computer up and access the hard drive and the parts that you need to, even if it's a hinge system like this. A lot of Dells, old Dells had that, where you would simply have latches that you release or unscrew with thumb screws, and then it'll hinge out like this and open like that. But every computer is accessible, and you want to try to access the left side as you look at it from the front first. Okay, so that's what you're looking at on that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this hard drive in and see if there's any data that can be recovered on this. And since this is an old style, and that's what we want to look at. Okay, the tool that we're going to be using to make this hard drive, to use this hard drive with an existing computer is, and I'll provide a link to a kit just like this. I have the Cables to Go brand USB 2.0 to IDE SATA drive adapter. And this is what the box looks like. Inside that box, I just keep these wires in a drawer because I use this all the time. I don't pack it up in the box every time. But this is basically the kind of wires you're looking for. You have your SATA connection in case you want to hook that up to a SATA drive like is in our computer there. And then you also have this little adapter here, which connects to our old hard drive right here. Okay, so this will connect to that, and then there's also this adapter which comes in from our power, and that's what powers the hard drive. Okay, so it does plug in, and that's what this power brick is for, to plug it in. So we're going to go ahead and take this whole kit that I just showed you that comes in that box. We're going to take our hard drive. We're going to assume we've removed this hard drive from the computer, since a lot of these computers do have this old style. Okay? And we're going to take that into our computer and go ahead and try to pull these files up and access any files we have in there. Alright guys, here's our hard drive that we're going to go ahead and hook up. Here's our computer that we're going to go ahead and hook it into. Make sure that you have at least one USB connection available. You may have to go around to the back of your computer where there's additional USB slots, but most computers have at least a couple of USB slots on the front. I have one going to my wireless internet adapter. I still have one available right here. And so what you're going to want to do is, this part of the cord here is your power supply. You may have to plug the cord that plugs into the wall outlet into this brick here, and it's just a 2-slot connection there, 2 prongs, and that goes to your power. Now once you have your power connected, you're going to find towards the end of this cable coming up with the connections here, you're going to find a little power switch like this. It turns on and off. You want to make sure that that is off, that you have an LED somewhere that is off. So let's go ahead and make sure that's powered off for now. Okay. Now this is going to be the power to your hard drive. So it's either going to have a pin connector like this. This is the old style for the older hard drives, or you're going to have an additional connection, and that's going to be your power adapter for the SATA drives. So for example, on the hard drive we're using, we see that the power is right here on the pins. If we had a newer hard drive like this laptop, this is only this is a laptop SATA hard drive. Now you're going to find exactly the same kind of connections on the bigger desktop SATA drive in the same spot. Here you see your L-shaped adapter. That's for your power. The bigger one is your power. So it's on the opposite side of the old style where the power is on the right. Here the power is going to be on the left if you got the sticker on front or on the top. So you'll see that this connection only goes one way. It's an L shape. You'll see that right here my L shape comes over here to the bottom. So on this I would simply want to flip this around and plug that in right there. That'll give my hard drive power. But in this situation we're not using the new style, the new SATA. We are hooking this old hard drive up, this old desktop, and again it's going to go the same way. You don't have an L shape, but you have a curved part here, and that's going to go towards the top as you're looking at the top of the hard drive. So as you see here, you can see by looking at it that the curve is towards the top of the slot there. So let's go ahead and plug that in just like this. And it may be kind of hard to go ahead and push in. You'll probably have to use both hands. It takes a little bit of force to get it in there. Just be careful you're not bending pins. But it doesn't just snap on or anything. Sometimes it requires a little bit of effort on your part to plug it in fully. Okay, at that point we only have our pin slot here left. Now what you're looking for here on this one is you will see right up here towards the top of the slot. See how there's an open, see that piece of plastic right there? See where that open slot is, right to the right of my fingernail there? That's what you're looking for. That's where you're looking for the notch on the connector. So we have our other cable supplied in the box with this universal adapter. We have two sides to this. We have this side, which we see this little notched piece of plastic. That's what's going to go in our notch that I showed you, that groove. Or you have another side, and we're not going to want to concern ourselves with that. That wouldn't have enough holes to cover all these pins anyway. If you looked here, it's not big enough to cover all those pins. So that's not what you want. You want this side. It has this little notch piece of plastic that's going to go right into our notch right here. Make sure you're getting this in correctly because you don't want to bend these pins. You bend these pins and you're going to be hosed. So try to line up that notch piece of plastic directly with that hole. And it's only going to go in one way, so okay. So as you see, I got it pushed in there. Okay, then you're going to have the end of that is going to be your USB connector. This is what's going to go into your USB connection on the front of your computer, or the back of your computer, if that's where your USB slots are available. So again, that only goes in one way. You'll see a bottom piece right there. It's either going to be black or white. You're going to want to look at your slot. Usually on your USB connectors, you'll have a piece of plastic on the very top up there. So put the piece of plastic on the USB connector at the bottom. It only goes in one way. Never force this kind of stuff, especially on the newer connections. Now as soon as I plug that in, you'll see that I got a light up here telling you that you have a connection. This light is powered by your computer as long as your computer is on. Okay? So my computer is on. I got power here. Basically this says there's a connection now between the hard drive and my computer. Okay? So these two can talk to each other. This hard drive here still has no power, however. Now if you were hooking up the SATA end of this, okay, then you wouldn't use either one of these connections here that I showed you on this little adapter. Instead, right here on the very side of this, you'll see another slot here that is a small SATA connection. In the same box as this kit, you'll also have a little SATA extender like this. This would extend right here onto that, and then your other side is going to run onto the other side of your SATA connection. Again, it's an L shape, so you would just want to go ahead and snap that right on, right onto that. Okay, so that's where that would go if you were plugging in a SATA drive. Okay, so now that we have our hard drive fully connected, we just simply want to come back to the switch and power it back on. As soon as we power this on, you may hear your hard drive spinning. You can kind of put your hand on it here and feel it. spinning. You should be able to feel it spinning anyway. Okay. And as soon as you turn it on your computer, you should have a little window pop up. You may see at the bottom that Windows has found a new device. Like down here towards the bottom, you may see Windows is acquiring drivers for the device, for the new device, and then it'll say ready. Somewhere on your Windows screen, you should have a window pop up just like this. Okay? And it's going to be your autoplay window. This is on Windows 7, but pretty much any version of Windows should have a similar window pop up like this once you turn that hard drive on. You're going to go ahead and open the folder to view files. And then you're going to have access to the folders that are on that hard drive. You may have one folder, you may have several folders here. What you're going to want to look for though is your C drive. And then you're going to continue to open up these folders until you find users. You're not going to want your program files. Any program files that you have, those are installed on your computer. You're not going to be able to recover those program files. You're simply going to have to reinstall those on your new computer. Okay? Now, whether you want to put these files on here on a flash drive looking something like this to save for later, you're going to have a computer to get the files from here onto the flash drive. So the first thing you want to do is move these files to the computer, or you can plug in a flash drive into an additional USB slot in your computer and simply open up the flash drive on your computer and drag files between the two folders, or you can simply drag the files from the from the hard drive here onto your computer. I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so once you keep opening up these folders, and you're not going to be able to recover any program files. Just remember that. You're going to want to look for users, typically, is what you're looking for. So open up your users folder, and then you're going to have public, and if you have any users that typically you've made a username when you installed Windows, you're going to have some kind of username. If you don't, you may just have a public folder. And if you open up your public folder, you're going to see public downloads, public music, public, for example, public documents. And that's exactly what you're going to have if you have that kind of thing. So here you see I don't really have anything under my public except sample videos, public music, and you'll have to look through all this stuff and see where all your information's at. It may simply be under a name, and you'll see if I go to my documents here, I have some tax forms that I can actually copy and save. So I want to save this whole folder. Let's pretend that I have tons of documents that I want to save. Well, I could either go ahead and go through this, and I may have a huge list that I can scroll through, okay, on the right hand side and scroll through that. If you hold down Control, it'll allow you to go ahead and highlight multiple items. So you can highlight, as many items as you want as long as you're holding Control when you left click on every item. And then what you can do is you can right click and you can go to copy, okay. And once you copy that, you can come anywhere on your desktop, or you can open up a flash drive that you've installed on your computer, open up that window, and you can simply right click on your mouse and you can paste. Once you copy and paste, you'll see that you copy and paste those two files right on your desktop. Now you have those on your new computer, okay? And that's how you would actually do that. So you're going to continue to go through your folders here and look for any pictures or anything that you might have. If so, on pictures, you might want to go ahead, if you have a whole bunch of pictures in this folder, for example, you can see that this hard drive is pretty barren of files. There's not a whole lot on here, but you may have 500 pictures inside this picture folder that you see, and you're like, wow, okay, I got all these pictures. Rather than holding Control down and clicking on 500 different pictures and copying them all, it would be quicker just to go ahead and either drag this My Pictures out to your desktop. You can either drag it out like that, okay, and you'll see that the pictures is still left on your hard drive. You're dragging it to a new hard drive and now it's out here. Or what you can do instead, let's pretend that wasn't there. Go ahead and delete that. Yes, I want to delete it. Okay, so one other thing you can do is you can do the same thing. You can right click on My Pictures. You can hit copy that into the computer memory, and then you can come up here to your desktop, and then you can go ahead and go paste, and you can paste pictures up there. And now, if you have a lot of pictures in here, you may see a progress bar as it goes ahead and installs those or loads those onto your new hard drive. So you may have a progress bar that is filling up when you actually drag this or when you copy and paste it. Okay, so that's simply how you get those files onto your computer, onto your new computer. Now, let's say that, for example, let's say that you didn't want to put these on this computer. Maybe this wasn't your computer. Maybe this is your friend's computer that you're just, you know, using, that you've taken your hard drive. Maybe you've taken your hard drive over to your friend's house who has a computer because you don't have one yet, but you just want to go ahead and install these files on your own flash drive. Well, to do that, that's going to be pretty simple as well. Let me see here. Okay, so let's say that we want to go ahead and use a flash drive, kind of like this flash drive. You want to make sure that you have enough space. For example, you can see this one's 64 gigabytes of space. You want to make sure that you have enough space on your flash drive that you have or that you buy to hold all your pictures and files, okay? More than likely, as long as you have at least an 8 gigabyte, you'll probably have enough. Just depends on how many files you had on your old computer. So I go ahead and plug this item into a free USB slot on the computer. Okay. Again, it's going to pop up with a window. Do you wish to scan and fix? No, I'm not worried about that. More than likely what's going to happen is you're going to have a window pop up just like this, and it's going to show you that you have a new drive on your computer. So we're going to go ahead and open files just like we did on our other one. Now this window here is our flash drive that we popped open the window. So again, I can just basically anything that I want to save off my hard drive. This is my hard drive folder again. Okay, anything that I want to save, I can go through and individually select the pictures and drag them over, or copy and paste them into the new drive, or I can simply go ahead and drag these folders and files over and then drop them. Pretty easy. And it's pretty simple as that. That's basically how you can transfer files directly from our hard drive right over to our flash drive that was installed. Okay? And you know, again, depending on how many files you have, you're going to have a progress file. If you don't have enough room on your flash drive to hold all the files, you'll get a warning and a message telling you there's not room. So it's not going to blow up the computer or anything like that. But that's pretty much all there is to actually getting the files off of a old hard drive, whether it be a SATA kind of connection on either a desktop or a laptop, or whether it be this old pin kind of connection. This universal adapter kit for the USB is going to be all you need, and I have a link for that provided right below this video on where, you know, one that you can purchase at this point on Amazon. So be sure you leave any comments. Let me know if this video has helped you out. If you're still having any kind of problems, let me know. If you know, it could be for you, Rose, that actually I made this video for. It could be that the reason your computer is not booting up is your hard drive is actually failing, and the sounds you're hearing could be the hard drive making a lot of noise and failing out. So if you buy this adapter kit and it's not working for you, then the good thing about Amazon is Amazon has an excellent return policy. You can always send this kit back and get your money back. Okay, that's really easy to do. You just go ahead and go to Amazon.com, either call or contact a chat or email their customer service and let them know what you want to do, and they'll help you return anything for a full refund. So that's pretty nice with Amazon. Is one thing I like about Amazon is their customer service. But if this doesn't work for you, before you send anything back or anything like that, let me know down in the comments below what kind of issues you're having, what you need help with, and why it's not working for you, like where you come to a problem. You know, are you not feeling any vibrations? Do you not hear it? Do you never get a window pop up on your computer? You know, what's going on? It could be even, you know, you get a faulty adapter. So who knows? Just let me know exactly, be as specific as you can with what kind of problems you're having down in the comments below, and we'll see if I can help you out further. But this is, you know, hopefully this will help somebody out recover files from their old hard drive from an old computer. You know, you may have pictures or a lot of different things on your old computer sitting out there in the garage for years, and you've never been able to access those pictures or files. Well, this is going to help you buy the right kit so that you can transfer any of those old tax forms or files or pictures or videos or whatever you have that's important to you and put them on your brand new computer so that you continue to have those. Now, another thing, guys, I want you guys to all be aware of is that these hard drives fail pretty regular. Okay, the reason hard drives fail is because they're not like, you know, current components like a calculator, for example. Calculator, if you was to open this up, it basically just has a little circuit board, and you know, this thing's going to last forever. as long as you don't go out and smash this thing, you know, with a brick or something like that, this calculator is probably going to last forever. And one reason it's going to last forever is because it's got solar power. So that solar power cell is always going to keep the battery charged. And then the inside, though, components are just all little teeny transistors and, you know, little resistors and stuff like that, and a little circuit board. And that thing is going to last forever. There's no working mechanical parts. Okay. But in any new, like your motherboard, for example, motherboards typically last a while too, because again, they don't have any working mechanical parts. Now fans are different. Fans on the inside of a computer do have to be replaced. They have a working mechanical part. But that's not part of the actual motherboard itself. So whether you got a small hard drive, whether it's a SATA hard drive, or whether it's an older hard drive, you still have working mechanical parts on this thing. Okay. And what I'm talking about there is on the inside of these hard drives. Let me go ahead and show you here. I don't know if you can see this, but on the inside you have your circuit board here. This doesn't go out that often. This is your transistors and resistors I'm talking about. But right here, where you see that little circle, okay, and where you see the circle up here, you have a big magnetic wheel here, and it spins at either 54 or 7200 RPMs, rounds per minute. So this thing is cycling super fast all the time. So if you have this on 24 hours a day, this thing, you know, in a year makes basically millions of revolutions, okay, spinning all the time to access the files that are stored on the device in here. So when this thing is running all the time that you have your computer on, this thing's making millions and billions of revolutions over its lifetime. Okay, and that is, you know, mechanical working parts. That's what goes out of these hard drives. So my recommendation to you, whether you have any of these new computers or whatever, is to it's always a good idea to take these flash drives that we're talking about, guys, and just like these are great. So if you have any pictures or any documents, tax files, whatever it is that you don't want to lose, okay, back them up on these flash drives. These flash drives go out a lot less often than these mechanical hard drives. So, you know, it's always a good idea, even if you have the, you know, the newer drives that don't have mechanical working parts, then it's still going to be a good idea to back up all your files on more than one device, just in case something goes wrong. You have a backup of all these files, because if this was to go bad, if this hard drive is to go bad and you can't recover your files on it because you can no longer access or spin the drive, then you could be spending thousands of dollars to have this drive opened up by a professional company and try to recover and access those files. It can cost you thousands of dollars, and it still may not even be successful. So be really careful. Always back up your files as much as you can. No matter what kind of hard drives you have, no matter how new your computer is, it's always a good idea. Anything that's that important to you is worth, you know, the 30 bucks it costs to buy a couple of these flash drives and back up those files that are important to you. Okay? So hopefully this helps somebody out. Let me know if you have any problems, guys. Be sure you give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on this video. Be sure you subscribe to me so that you get all my future videos. You can do that right up here in the corner to subscribe. If you have a full screen right now, you should be able to give me a like or a dislike up here as well. If you don't have this full screen, right down there is a thumbs up, thumbs down. Please give me a thumbs up, thumbs down as well. That helps me let you know if these videos I'm making are helping you guys. Want to go and thank you guys for watching. I hope this video has helped you guys. This has been Zaxter99. Take care, everybody.